and then mute. Alright. Get rid of window capture. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff. Well, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, well, I heard mixed reviews about that, Crims. I heard some of them were really good and some were really bad. No, I have all the gems I need. I grabbed them the other night. Alright. I'm gonna turn this music down real quick. I'm just gonna do all the editing on my computer, I think. That's what I decided. Alright. Thank you for watching this YouTube video today. Today I'm going to be going over auras and what they have to do with skills and stuff like that. How to use them, how to reduce their reservation, and what exactly do they look like, and what are their mechanics. So I'm outside of town right now in Sarn, and I have a couple auras with me, and I have a couple auras equipped. What an aura basically does is it provides you a buff at the cost of reserving some of your mana. And what reserving some of your mana means is it takes and reduces your maximum mana to a certain point. For instance, my Purity of Lightning reduces my mana by 25%. So that means I only have 75% of my mana left. As far as other auras go, some have that like 40% mana reserved. There's some that have 40% mana reserve. I mean, I did 40 already, but I meant, where's another one? 60%. Basically, there's three types. There's 60%, 40%, and then a flat. And then after that, there's also Tempest Shield, but that's not really an aura, but it kind of works in the same manner, sort of. They all work off of having an increased area effect too. If you get increased area effect gem in here, it would like increase their area. But the problem is it they already cost so much mana to use. That's normally not a gem to use. The other gem that you could use that is actually very useful is reduced mana. Reduced mana gives them a mana multiplier that reduces the mana that it actually costs to use them. And once you have it completely put in here and everything, and you put your gems in here, normally this clarity costs 260, but because of the reduced mana gem, and I think I have a couple auras. Where is it? Where's the clarity? It's right here. So yeah, normally it's 260 because of the reduced mana from the gem, and then also because of reduced mana from the skill tree. It costs only like 100 less mana basically. So it gives you an idea of like how to use these auras more effectively, how you're able to put more auras on, and why exactly aura nodes are very useful. As far as aura nodes go, there's 4 here at the top by the Templar. This is a very good ring. It has aura area effect, reduced mana reservation, sovereignty, which is a really good one because it has increased effect of your auras and reservation. So this altogether gives you 16% reduced mana reservation. This also gives you another 16% increased effect. The increased effect actually increases the effect of the aura. So if you're using a couple of the auras, some of the auras give you extra damage, some of them give you extra armor, some give you extra evasion, so on and so forth. I'm gonna show all the auras after I'm giving you explanation of like some of this stuff. Here's another aura node. It's over by the shadow side at the top right. There's reduced mana reservation, aura effect, and influence. Very good, very useful. This one down here isn't really used as much, but it's still useful in some builds. Has aura effect, reduce mana reservation. This one, it is only more of a support skill, so only really grab this if your character is going to be a support. If your character's not really going to be a support, this might be a waste for you. Alright. And then there's charisma, reduce mana reservation, and aura area effect. I think I might have to put Pidgey in the other room for this. I'm gonna actually just do this part again. So there's also aura effect, reduce mana reservation, and leadership. Oh my god, that bird. I'm gonna just move that bird. He's gonna be a problem tonight. Alright, I'm just gonna have to edit that part. Alright. Now, again. Alright. The reason why this is good is because it's not used nearly as much, but it does have aura effect and reduced mana reservation. Another really good aura node is aura area effect, reduce mana reservation, and charisma. Charisma reduces the reservation and gives you some aura effect. For 1 point, it's actually the best point on the tree to reduce the reservation on your auras. It's the one I usually try to go for, because for me, at least as far as auras go, just the reservation is the most important part. The increased effect's pretty good too, but I feel like the reduce the reservation is a lot better. And then for this, we have aura effect, aura area effect, and then reduce mana reservation. So there's one group of nodes on like pretty much every side of the tree. This one was by the ranger, the charisma one. It's right above the ranger, and this one's on the left side under the duelist, right by unwavering stance, and it's aura effect, aura area effect, and reduce mana reservation. Alright, so that's all there is for the skill tree. As far as the actual auras, the auras that are used the most, as far as like super useful, every build usually uses one of these. I'm gonna just get them in line here. I mean, the resistant auras are really good, but they're not as popular. Where's hatred and clarity? I'd have to say these are the most popular auras. There's determination. Determination increases your armor, and it has a more effect, meaning the determination is applied after all your other effects are applied. So basically, if you have aura nodes on your tree, not aura nodes but armor nodes on your tree, so if you had like this whole ring right here, this whole ring would apply first, and then the determination would be applied. It's actually really effective and increases your armor by a lot, as long as you have some armor to increase. This is not something you just use to try to get a little bit of armor. You actually need some armor first before this is effective. Grace is another super popular one. It's probably the most popular one, for a couple reasons. The reason is it gives you a flat amount of evasion. That means you don't need any other effect to help you out to basically make it so like this is like free gear basically. Once you put it on, you don't need any evasion gear to make it useful. It's useful as it is. There's a couple other gems like that as far as ores go, but this is probably the best one because, like I said, it doesn't require you to actually have any evasion gear on. It just gives you flat evasion, and it also scales with all evasion nodes that give percentage. And it also, the other reason why it's super popular is because iron reflexes with it is super good. The reason being is it just turns all that evasion into armor, and for some builds that's huge. Like getting a lot of armor is just really needed, and evasion, it might be harder for them to stack anyways, so just getting iron reflexes is enough for them to not even have to worry about it anymore. And that's why I think it's one of the best ones, because iron reflexes is also one of the earliest nodes in the game for a lot of people, because it just gives you so much survivability right away at the start. Even builds that normally don't use it sometimes use iron reflexes at the start with grace, just until they get the gear, and then they'll unspec out of it. It's just a really good combination, and that's why it's probably the most popular. The next one is Discipline. Discipline gives you a flat amount of energy shield. It's not as good as the Grace because not a lot of people can make use of that extra energy shield. There's a couple builds that do really good with it. One thing in particular I would say would be the Eldritch Battery. Eldritch Battery makes super good use out of it, and energy shield builds make really good use out of it. Like if people go Chaos Inoculation, or if you go low life, Discipline's it's a good idea. But Eldritch Battery, the reason why it's super good with Eldritch Battery is it increases your maximum amount of mana, and when you have a higher base mana pool, your mana regen is higher. Because mana regen is based off 105% of your mana over the next minute. So you just basically, so if I take this, I take 105% of 672, divide it by 60, and that's my regen. And that's also affected by other stuff, like if you have regen on the tree, so 40% mana regen, so mine's actually 145%. It's additive, so every time you have more mana regeneration on your tree, the more mana regeneration you actually have, and it increases based off your maximum mana pool. So that's how you scale mana regeneration super high, is with Eldritch Battery, Discipline, Clarity, and then having percentage mana regeneration. So that's Discipline. Hatred's really good for physical builds. It's not really a gem you use if you're trying to do elemental, because it's based off your weapon damage. It's based off how much damage you're doing as physical damage. So it's not even just based off your weapon damage, it's based off of your physical damage, because there are a couple of physical spells that this gem actually improves, but that's the thing is you actually need physical damage to make Hatred useful. So spells like Ethereal Knives, spells like Bear Trap, spells like what was the other one? Glacial Cascade could work with it because it has some physical on it. Otherwise, any attack skill that has a good base amount of physical damage, even spells like Lightning Arrow. Lightning Arrow converts the physical, so this is applied before the Lightning Arrow even converts the physical damage. So it's just something to think about. So there's Hatred. Clarity. Clarity is a super good aura as well, mainly because it scales off your percentage mana regen. So when I said that I had 145% mana regen earlier, that means you get 105% of this normally. So you get 5% extra on top of that 3. But if you get a 40, you get 45% extra. If you have more mana regeneration on your rings or amulets, that's even more extra. So you can scale the clarity past what it says right there. It also scales off of increased aura effect nodes, just like a lot of the other auras. Like all these auras get increased by those nodes. So if you plan on using more than 1 or 2 of these auras, it's a very, very, very good idea to get aura nodes. They just improve the gems by a lot. So the other gems that are super popular too is the resist auras, and I have them right here. There's Purity of Fire, there's Purity of Lightning, there's Purity of Ice, and then there's Purity of Elements. Basically 1 for each element, and then 1 for all elements. And once you level them, they turn into looking like this. So here's a comparison. So this is 20%. It turns into 39% and 4% additional maximum lightning resist. That's why these are so good, is because in the end it gives you extra lightning resist, so you can sustain more lightning damage, and it also improves reflect damage. So if you're doing a lot of elemental damage, these are going to be really, really useful for you, because the more elemental damage you do, it's going to be harder to deal with reflect. And to deal with it better, you just try to increase the cap of your lightning resist, and that's how I deal with it on this build in general. That's why I have 1 leveled currently. So yeah, these all end up giving you 4% extra additional resist. This one doesn't. This one just gives you flat all across, and then once it's leveled, it doesn't really give you anything extra besides what it already gives you. The other gems that are still used, they're just not used as often. They're used in specific builds. This one, Haste, it's actually used in a lot of builds right now, mainly because it gives you a lot of attack speed and cast speed for free, and it's all increased based off of your aura effect nodes, so you can increase the effectiveness by it a lot. It's just the reason why I didn't put it in the most popular area is because you usually use other auras with it, and sometimes those builds get super expensive, so I kind of want to like stay away from it. Like I feel like most builds that use Haste are pretty expensive builds to begin with, unless you're in a group with people, and then that's when you want to mix and match all of these auras. Then there's Anger, Wrath, and Vitality. Anger and Wrath are really good because they give you a flat amount of elemental damage. So any elemental build, usually with swords, there's some with daggers, and I think that's about it for elemental players. And those all get increased by like elemental weapon damage, they get increased by element damage, they get increased by their element. So if the Wrath gets increased by lightning, the Anger gets increased by fire, Hatred gets increased by frost. So like all these nodes end up increasing the effectiveness of these auras one way or another. Vitality is another popular one. It's just it's not used as much, but I still use it. I use it on a couple of characters. I usually always level Vitality, mainly because when you get to endgame and you start playing with people, having a Vitality is like one of the best things you can almost have, because a lot of people level all these other auras, right? So if you have a Vitality leveled, when they use one of the other auras that you normally use, you just pop on Vitality. Now everyone in the group has nice life regen. You don't have to depend on potions nearly as much, or at all. You just use the potions more of as like an instant relief. And other than that, I think that's all I really have to say about aura gems. The other thing too is there's Tempest Shield. The reason why I put Tempest Shield here, it's not an aura, but it's deceiving because it works a lot like an aura. It has that mana reservation on it, and when you put it in here, it will work a lot like an aura. So when you use it, it reduces your mana, but it basically puts a buff on you, and the buff gives you extra block chance, and every time you block, you do lightning damage. So it doesn't really help your friends, but it helps you. So it's a buff basically, and that's why I put it here. But it's not an aura, so it's not affected by any of those aura nodes. So I wanted to point this out in case people they're like, okay, it has mana reservation, but isn't an aura. But if you watch my skill tag video where it talks about the tags of all the gems, you'll notice that a aura is an aura because it says aura, lightning, spell, area effect. Those are the passives that affect it. Those are the gems that affect it, and that's how you know it's an aura or if it's not an aura. So this is just a lightning spell. That means lightning damage affects it, spell damage affects it. That's it. Anyways, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for this YouTube video, and thank you for watching.